Natalie Sideserf here of Sideserf Cake Studio, and I'm going to show you how I made a cake of the character Mr. Poopy Butthole from the show Rick and Morty. I'm trying something a little different with this cake as far as the structure that holds the cake up. So usually I'd have a rod that's secured to the cake board and it goes through the center of the entire cake, and that keeps it from tipping over, being that cakes aren't very sturdy on their own. But for this cake, I want to try to see if it's possible to stack a super tall, skinny cake with no internal support inside. This is typically a huge no-no when it comes to cake sculptures, because they can tip over and they can fall apart very easily. So here's where I take my big old bolt cutters and I cut the rod right off. So that's leaving nothing to support or sturdy the cake above Mr. Poopy Butthole's waist. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. Cutting that support rod off was a very bad idea. And I knew it as I did it, but I really wanted to try something new and, well, you'll see what happens a little later. But let's move on to the torso first. So I covered the entire structure in foil, and now I'm stacking round layers of cake. You can already see how wobbly the cake is, and that's only 3 layers high. So I decided to temporarily place a bamboo skewer through all the cake layers to help keep it from tipping over while I'm working on it. I'm using the existing rod to support Mr. Poopy Butthole's one leg and attaching a piece of wire to support the other leg. This leg doesn't support the cake above at all, so the wire can be pretty thin. Let's check out our modeling chocolate color palette. Mr. Poopy Butthole is pale yellow with a light blue t-shirt, dark gray shorts, brick red shoes, and his teeth and eyes are white. I'm going to start with the dark gray modeling chocolate. So I'm placing it directly onto the structure and I'm sculpting it into the shape of Mr. Poopy Butthole's shorts. When I first heard of the character Mr. Poopy Butthole, I thought to myself, I don't think that it's possible for a character's name to be any better than this. I'm having a great time saying his name in this video. Mr. Poopy Butthole. I wonder if this video will get deranked on YouTube because of his name. You know what? Can you guys help me out? Subscribe to this channel and like this video. That way, if this video does get deranked because of Mr. Poopy Butthole's name, there's still an upside to making it. Now that the shorts are finished, I'm going to sculpt Mr. Poopy Butthole's legs, shoes, and shirt all out of modeling chocolate. While I do that, let's talk a little bit about Mr. Poopy Butthole. So he is a beloved side character from the show Rick and Morty. He is very sweet, he's always happy, and he's a longtime friend of the Smith family, who is the main family on the show. So basically, his story is that he's from another dimension where he is a global superstar. So he sought sanctuary with the Smith family to escape the pressures of living life as a celebrity. Yes, Mr. Poopy Butthole is a celebrity from another dimension. Now it's time to start the head. So I'm stacking 6 round layers of cake, and I can already tell that this tall and narrow cake head is going to be extremely difficult to work on. Once the entire cake is covered in a crumb coat of green buttercream, I place it in the fridge to firm up. That way it's easier to work on.
1 hour later.
Then I take it out of the fridge, and as you can see, while it was in the fridge, it fell over. Not a great start, but I can work with this. So I'm going to cover and sculpt Mr. Poopy Butthole's face while the cake is laying flat. And then I'll just prop it up later when I add the rest of the body. So here I'm covering his head in yellow modeling chocolate, and then it's time to sculpt the face. One of my favorite things about Mr. Poopy Butthole is that folded skin and wrinkles where his head and his shirt meet. It's as if his head and his body are like stuffed into that t-shirt. It's such a hilarious detail. Mr. Poopy Butthole has a catchphrase. It's, ooh-wee! So I paused a Rick and Morty clip of Mr. Poopy Butthole's face while he was saying his catchphrase, and I chose the expression that he makes while he's saying the wee part of ooh-wee. I liked that his mouth was open, you could see his teeth. I also have his bottom eyelids slightly raised, which adds a little fun to the cake. There's a lot of emotion in this Mr. Poopy Butthole cake. This expression is funny, but it's also pretty cute. Like, he's a cute character. And I also get to sculpt all those little teeth, which is really fun to sculpt. All right, Mr. Poopy Butthole's head is finished, so now it's time to add it to his body. So here I'm placing his cake head onto his cake torso by threading it through that thin bamboo skewer. Then once the cake is firmed up in the fridge, I can take that skewer out and we're all good. Right? Now it's time to add those chocolate arms. This cake is extremely tall and narrow. It is 18 inches tall by only 2 inches wide, with only a thin bamboo skewer that's supporting that torso and head. So I finish up the arms, I step away from the cake for just a second, and I hear a thud. I turn around to see Mr. Poopy Butthole is in 3 pieces. The cake toppled over and just fell apart. And you know what? I took a chance by cutting that rod at the beginning of this video, and I knew it was risky, and it definitely didn't pay off. Lesson learned. Now, lucky for me, there isn't too much damage to each of these pieces. So I'll smooth out a few dents, and then I'm gonna stack the cake again. And there you have it, a cake of Mr. Poopy Butthole from the TV show Rick and Morty. The thicker dowel looks to be enough to keep Mr. Poopy Butthole in one piece, but the only way we'll know for sure is when I cut it. So let's cut the cake. Ooh-wee! It worked! It's not the prettiest cake cutting in the world, but I actually think that it makes it more fun. If you like this video, if you like this cake, please give this video a like. And subscribe to this channel for a new cake every Monday.